got very little to say. I wanted to come along and express my support for Simon, and I was asked to give a 1-minute introduction. So, for those of you that don't know him, I think it is worth saying, though, that I step short of encouraging Simon to continue, although I hope he does, because I know that there are very few of us, if any, in this room, I think, who would take the personal risk that he's taking. I mean, already to face a legal bill of £100,000, for which he's personally liable, and I think it's almost too much to try and encourage him to go on. I don't know what he's going to say, but I think it's a great credit to his integrity that he's willing to take such a risk, when many of us, me included, would probably just have stepped down and not incurred those possible costs. So I think it's very important to say that. Just before I introduce him then, I want to give some crumb of comfort to the alleged charlatans, is that all right? Alleged charlatans, quacks and witch doctors out there. This is going to be on YouTube as well, isn't it? That would happen to me now. Where's the camera? I apologise. I doesn't only go after them. Very early on in my TV career, years ago, I went on a dodgy daytime programme and failed to libel anybody to the level that he self-hit. And he invited me out for coffee, and so I went for coffee. I thought, that's nice, Simon Singh's invited me for coffee. And he gave me a hell of a good talking to, and said, right, next time you encounter one of these idiots, just tell them exactly what you think. While he was watching Looking Good, Feeling Great with Firm Grit and episode Hot and Horny a Thursday afternoon, I have no idea. Simon, the Pete Townsend defence would be bogus. With that, let me introduce Simon Singh.
It's truly uplifting. 10 days ago, I was in a miserable state, had a horrible ruling at the High Court, and it's just so fantastic to have so much support over the last week. And thanks to all the speakers, to Evan and Nick and Dave, Chris French for coming in, and Brian for introducing me. And thanks to all of you for coming on. It's incredibly important and lifts my spirits no end at all. It's fantastic. I was going to say genuine, absolutely not bogus whatsoever. I thought I'd try and briefly race through what's been happening, just to bring you up to speed. I'm in a difficult position because the libel case is still ongoing, and there's only so much I can say, but I'll try and be as open and honest as I can. Just to go back to where it all started, a year ago, kind of started actually here in this pub. I gave a talk for skeptics in the pub. Skeptics and Cyclopedia have been incredibly helpful and supportive over the last year. But I gave a talk here. I was writing a book called Trick or Treatment. The subtitle of that, ironically enough, was Alternative Medicine on Trial. There we go. And I co-authored it with Ed Zardes, who's going to be back here on Wednesday talking about the book in more detail. But about the same time as that book was written, I wrote an article for The Guardian, and the article was about chiropractic. And the idea was, well, one of the things that people, Dave's already alluded to this, that people think about chiropractic and they think, well, you manipulate the spine, they treat back problems and the problems get better. You know, that's perfectly sensible. And to a large extent it is. You know, there's some evidence to show that chiropractors, spinal manipulation can help back problems. But if you go back in history to the origins of chiropractic, there's a guy called Daniel Palmer, founded it back in the 19th century. He believed you could treat almost anything with chiropractic because the spine carries the nerves to the rest of the body. If you have a problem in your kidney or elsewhere in your body, the reason you have that problem is because of a neural impairment in the spine. Therefore, fix the spine, fix the flow of what he called innate energy, and you could fix that part of the body. He thought you could cure 95% of all diseases by manipulating the spine. In fact, the first two people he treated, one had deafness and the other had heart disease. That's the roots of chiropractic. Now, today, modern chiropractors have moved on from that, and they do tend to focus on back problems. But some of them treat conditions not related to the bad, and in particular childhood conditions, and that's what the article was about. The article was about the evidence, or lack thereof, for those conditions, and also the risks that may be associated with chiropractic. So the article was published a year ago in The Guardian, and the BCA sued for libel. And that's where that part of the story has to stop. As a science journalist, I should be able to write about scientific issues without the fear of being intimidated. And it's more than just about me, again, as you've heard already. You're bloggers and scientists and journalists, and many of you here today, you've got the right to write about these issues without being intimidated. And as Nick said, it goes beyond science. It's about all journalists being able to write about things fairly and reasonably without the risk of being intimidated. And that's what this case is really about. So am I going to fight on? Well, bad news and good news. The bad news first is that I cannot say tonight that I will be appealing. We're just not in a position yet to be able to say that we've got all our ducks in a row, that we're confident that it's going to be worth taking that step. The good news is that the lawyers Robert and William and Adrienne are working incredibly hard to see if we can make an appeal work. We want to head in that direction. I'm trying to make that work. They're trying to make that work, and fingers crossed that we'll go in that direction. And the fact that everybody is here tonight, that support, not just here in this room, but out there on the web, over in America with Randy and JREF and everybody else who's shown support, the fact that you're behind us, and the fact that you'll write about this and talk about this and spread the word makes it only even more likely that we will indeed go for an appeal. But I can't guarantee that as yet. So I'll just end with this. I mean, I can't yet say that we're going to appeal, but right now I feel that we ought to appeal. In a week from now, I hope we'll be in a position where we can appeal, and by May the 28th, I hope I'll be able to announce that we will be appealing. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Encore! Encore!